Okay guys, yesterday we looked at adding integers and today we're going to look at subtraction. Subtraction's a little different. We're going to talk about this a couple different ways and then you can decide which strategy works best for you. So I'm going to teach you two different strategies. The first one is the strategy I prefer, and that's really to focus on the terms in the problem. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to identify those terms. That means we're just going to look at the problem and we're going to really think about what are the numbers. Terms are the numbers or the values separated by that addition or subtraction sign. Then we're going to look and see, are any of our terms kind of complicated? Do they have double signs that we want to simplify? And then once we've done that, it should just be an addition problem. We're going to be adding the two terms together. So let's take a look at our first problem here. Our first term is a -5. Our second term, and this is where sometimes people get a little confused, that sign in front, a lot of times I get, is that a subtraction sign? Is that a negative sign? Subtractions and negatives, the reason they look exactly the same is because they say the same thing. They're giving us a direction on a number line. Is our number increasing or decreasing? So we can think of this as subtracting 6, or we can think of it as a -6. Those both mean the same thing. So if we think back to our lesson on adding, we're noticing that both of our terms have a negative symbol in front of them. So that means that we're going to follow those adding rules for integers, and we're going to add the two numbers together. 5 plus 6 is 11. But remember that we're starting in the negatives and we're moving further and further and further to the left. So this is going to be a -11 on our number line. Now this next one is where things get really fun. So we're looking at our terms again, and our first term is a +5. Remember, all of the symbols in front of the term are telling us whether it's positive, whether it's negative, and what we're doing with those terms. Terms are added or subtracted. So here we can see that, oh my goodness, we have a subtraction sign and a negative sign. So that means we're subtracting a negative, or another way that I like to think about it is a subtraction sign is just a symbol that tells us to do the opposite. So what we're really doing is we're doing the opposite of a -6. A -6 would tell us to move to the left on the number line. Well, this subtraction sign tells us we'll do the opposite of that. So the opposite of a -6 would actually be a +6. So what I really have is I have a +5 and a +6, and I'm adding those two together, and I'm ending up at +11. Okay, another way, let's look at one more problem. So here we've got a -5. And again, we've got that really fun, tricky double sign happening where we have the opposite of a -6. So again, this is that simplify step. I want to simplify this. The opposite of -6 just is a +6. So the two numbers that I'm combining together are a -5 and a +6. So these have different signs. So this is that strategy where I'm thinking, okay, well, which one's further from 0? +6 is further from 0. That tells me my answer will be positive. And then I know if the signs are different, I'm actually going to subtract them. We talked about that on our previous lesson. So 6 minus 5, we would end up at +1. So that's one strategy for doing these problems. That's the one I prefer. Let me show you another way to approach this, and some of you will like this other way a little bit better. Okay, so we're going to look at those same three problems using a different approach, and some people prefer this approach. This approach I like to refer to as keep, change, change. And so what we were going to do is we're going to keep the first number the same. So we would look here and say, okay, I see -5, I'm going to keep -5. Then we would change the sign. So we see a subtraction sign, we're going to change that to addition. We're going to be changing all of our subtraction problems to addition. Then we would take the opposite of the second number. So the opposite of positive 6 is negative 6. Now we're right back to the lesson we previously did on addition. They have the same signs. We keep the sign and we add. Okay, let's try this strategy again. Again, I call it keep, change, change. So we would keep the positive 5. We would change subtraction to addition. We would change negative 6 to positive 6. And that would give us positive 11. Okay, let's try this again. We would keep negative 5. We would change subtraction to addition. And we would take the opposite of negative 6, which is positive 6. Now here we're thinking, different signs. 6 is further from 0, so that tells us it's going to be a positive. And when the signs are different, we subtract and we get positive 1. So you can do either strategy. Again, you can do keep, change, change. That just turns everything into addition, and then you just are relying on the rules that we had learned previously. Or you can look at terms. Either strategy is fine, so when you're doing your practice problems, use the strategy that works best for you.